Yo, what's going on, y'all? It's Conan. Today, I'm going to go ahead and overreact to game one of every single playoff series. All 8 matchups have one game in the books over the course of this weekend, and there was a lot to talk about. I've got takeaways, I've got takes, thoughts on how the series might progress, and everything in between. We've got a lot to get into, so I won't keep this intro any longer. Let's start off in the Western Conference with what was the best game of the weekend, and that was game one of Nuggets versus Clippers. In my playoff preview, I believe I said that this was going to be the best first round series, or at least in my head, that's what I thought, and game one delivered. It was an overtime thrower with these crazy plays left and right. The Clippers looked like they were in firm control of this game for a lot of the first half, the first 3/4, and then the Nuggets really started to amp up the pressure. One of the big things I was impressed by in this was how the Nuggets just locked in defensively, and that was something we've seen over the course of the last few years, because at the beginning of the game, they were getting torched. It was like a layup line for James Harden. He was just walking to the rim over and over and over again, and by the way, James Harden was unbelievable in this game, but then they really started to clamp up, kind of reminiscent to what they did when they went to the championship and then last year in the playoffs. They just always seem to rise to the occasion on the defensive end, and I want to give David Adelman credit, because getting your team to buy in like that as a head coach that's coached less than 5 NBA games is very impressive. Like, he benched Michael Porter Jr. down the stretch, and instead he went with Russell Westbrook, who was the X factor. There were very high highs and very low lows, which is always the case with Russ. He hit a massive 3 late in this game. He also, when he had a chance to go ahead and hit the game winner, just didn't get a shot off and tried to throw it off of James Harden's leg. I believe it was James Harden, and the clock just kind of expired. But he also got multiple critical offensive rebounds. He was out hustling everybody. He made winning plays. The reason they ended up winning this game in the end was because of Russell Westbrook. And as a Thunder fan, as a Russ diehard, it's awesome to see, because yeah, you're going to get some insane moments from Russ. You know, we're going to continue to think about that game against the Timberwolves earlier this season. But if you go ahead and just put your trust in him, he's also going to make plays that can help you win basketball games at the highest level. And yeah, this was pretty much the Russell Westbrook experience all in one, but overall made a massive impact, and they're going to need more of that. They need a guy that creates this chaos, that can grab them offensive rebounds, get them extra possessions, hustle, make big defensive plays. He did that too. Just shout out to my guy Russ. He really played well, and like I said, that led to Michael Porter Jr. being benched for a lot of the end period of this game, and I'm really starting to think Michael Porter Jr. is gone this offseason. And Nikola Jokic was asked about it, and he also kind of said, you know, if you're doing what we need to do, you will be out there. And to me, it just feels like he is kind of the odd man out. If they want to fill out more depth, if they want to bring in another star, whatever they want to do, Michael Porter Jr. is the obvious guy to go ahead and be traded in whatever deal comes along. So yeah, overall, impressed by the Nuggets, what they were able to do. Of course, winning game one, I'm not sure if I even mentioned that, but you probably knew that coming into this video. As for the Clippers, one big thing I noted is that I don't know why they didn't do more James Harden pick and roll. It felt like that was just completely unstoppable. The Nuggets couldn't do anything, and especially down the stretch of this game and when we get into overtime, I just felt like there weren't enough moments where the ball's in James Harden's hands, you have Zubac set a screen, and you just go ahead and run it. Like, that was so effective for them basically this entire game. That was the bread and butter, the reason why they built up such an advantage, and I felt like they kind of went away from that towards the end, focused more on like getting Kawhi Leonard the ball in certain spots, which yeah, I get it. Kawhi Leonard is like your closer. He is the guy you probably want to go to, but Harden was playing so well. I don't know. It just felt like they could have gone to that a little bit more. Of course, they just got outplayed for a majority of the second half of this game, and this is a team that's been one of the best in the NBA pretty consistently over the second half of the season, so I'm expecting a bounce back. If I had to predict, I think they win game 2. I said before the series, I think this one goes 7, and that the Clippers ultimately win. That is something I'm going to stick with, but I was very impressed with the way the Nuggets stepped up, and it wasn't even like this just unbelievably dominant game from Nikola Jokic. A lot of guys contributed. You know, Christian Brown hit a big 3. Jamal Murray was not his best game, but he hit some shots when it mattered. He made big time plays. Everybody did their job, which is exactly what you want to see. If you're David Adelman, if you're a Nuggets fan, you want to see the supporting cast step up, because that's always the question mark. You expect a lot from Jokic. What do you get from the other guys? And in this game, most of the other guys contributed in ways that you needed them to. Next, let's talk about Lakers Timberwolves, which was the most surprising result of the weekend to me, not because the Wolves won, but because they steamrolled the Lakers. This one, outside of the first quarter and some change, was never really close. The Wolves led by 27 points. Bronny James got minutes at the end of this one, and it's not for the reason Lakers fans would have liked to, where they're up like 30. Just completely unprepared, it felt like, on Los Angeles' side for this game. LeBron, Luka, I felt like those guys would have come into this one ready to go, excited for the playoffs, locked in like they seemed at the end of the season. they weren't at all. It's like they were sleepwalking out there. While Minnesota was dialed in, Anthony Edwards was incredible. He didn't score a lot, and the efficiency wasn't really there from 8 of 22 for 22 points, but he was just getting wherever he wanted to into the paint and dishing out the shooters, finished with 9 dimes, and guys were hitting their looks. Jay McDaniels, 3-3 from the outside, 4-6 for Julius Randle, 2-3 for Mike Conley, 6 of 9 shooting for Naz Reid. They shot 50% from the outside. And if the Wolves are going to keep shooting like that, this is a nightmare for the Lakers. And they're not going to. There are going to be colder games for them, but they were generating really good looks. It's not like the Wolves were just hitting hyper-contested shots every single time. There are a lot of just wide-open shots, and those will also cool off a little bit, but I was extremely impressed by the offensive process of the Wolves and how much they picked apart this Lakers defense. And like I said in the series preview, that is a concern. Even though people kind of stopped talking about the Lakers defense not being great, it's not been great. It's been a problem, and especially when they're just overwhelmed with size the way that they were against Minnesota. Like, this is a big team. The Lakers played Jackson Hayes 8 minutes because it wasn't working. They tried to go small. That didn't work either. Nothing worked. And JJ Redick is going to have to get into the lab and figure something out because they really just did not have an answer for the Wolves on the offensive end. And then on their own offense, the Wolves just kind of said, okay, beat us isolating. They said, we're not going to let, Luka go ahead and take someone off the dribble, help off, and give a wide open corner shooter a shot. And then they start to heat up, and then the threes start raining on us, and suddenly we're down by like 15 points. They said, Luka, LeBron, Austin Reeves, ISO us. We don't care. You can get whatever switch you want. Attack us. We're just going to kind of let you cook. And it worked a little bit, I guess, for Luka. He went out there and had 37 points, 8 rebounds. He was amazing on 55% shooting, but LeBron wasn't that great. Had 19 points, 4 turnovers, 8 of 18. Austin Reeves really struggled, 16 points on just 5 of 13 shooting. It was a strategy that was effective enough. They trusted their guys and they made do with it, and that's not a great sign for the Lakers. I still do think the Lakers are very much in this one. I'm not going away from my prediction that they're going to win ultimately, but it is a lot scarier than I feel like some Lakers fans made it out to be. And I said that in the video. I felt like some people were just like, hey, they've got LeBron, Luka, the Wolves stand no chance. This is a very, very good team. And if they can continue to play like this, have their extra guys be aggressive like Jay McDaniels, even if he's not shooting 3 of 3 from 3 in games, which he's not going to. He's not always going to shoot 100%, but if he can just be aggressive, force the Lakers to respect him, and continue to open up the game for Anthony Edwards, who is going to heat up inevitably at some point, it can really spiral and become terrifying for the Lakers. If they go down 0-2, this one might be wraps because the Wolves are really good. You can't give them this much ground. You can't give them this much confidence. The Lakers already gave them some. They cannot afford more of that in game 2. Need a lot better defensively. They need a lot better from the guys outside of Luka Doncic. It was probably the most disappointing effort from any team I've seen this weekend. Speaking of disappointing, let's go ahead and talk Rockets-Warriors. Not a great playoff debut from Jalen Green. Kind of the worst way it could have gone. Shot 3 of 15 from the floor, 7 points. And there were just so many drives where he attacked the basket out of control, lost the basketball, went up and it was a wild shot like he had no chance of ever going in. There were some plays where, yeah, there was contact and maybe a foul could have been called, but also that's what we talk about when we go into the playoffs and it's like, oh, there's more physicality and this and that. And this was a very physical game between these two teams. 95-85 in favor of the Warriors was the final score. It's going to be a low-scoring, very physical series. Jalen Green has got to kind of understand that, and he's got to be better. He's got to play more controlled. It is his first playoff game. I'm not going to rip on him too hard, but he was a big reason why they lost tonight. And if this continues, I don't think Jalen Green makes it through this offseason. I already firmly believe, after watching today especially, that they're going to make some big move for a scorer this offseason, whether it's Kevin Durant or somebody else. They need to get more of an offensive punch, especially because, like, Fred VanVleet, 4 of 19 shooting, 2 of 13 from 3, 1-3, where I think they had a 5-on-4 fast break late in this game and he pulled up while being 3 of 15 from the floor. I get it. You got confidence. You got to take the next shot. But that was a moment where probably you could have gotten a better look. And when you're the Houston Rockets, with how bad this half-court offense is, when you get those transition opportunities, you've got to take advantage of the best possible look. Maybe you felt like it was that 3. I don't think it was. But the big thing that kept the Rockets in this game, because they had a chance, was the offensive rebounding, which we talk about was the way they were going to win this series, is they were going to beat up on the boards. 22 offensive boards to 6 from the Warriors. Steven Adams, such a huge X factor for them. He's so good and so important to this team. It says he only had 5 offensive boards. I swear to God, he had like 30 of them. Ahmed Thompson had 6, 3 from Dylan Brooks. Alperen Şengün had 2, and by far the best player for the Rockets tonight. 26 points, 9 rebounds, and assists, 3 steals, 11 of 18 shooting, hit a crazy 3. If you want to talk about someone who was ready for the moment on this young Rockets team, it was Alperen Şengün. So massive props to him, because he's gotten a lot of ire throughout the season on if he's actually as good as some people think he is. People debate. People feel like people are very divided on how good Şengün is, but in this game, undeniably the best player on the floor for the Rockets. Rockets, and the difference maker really just ended up being the Warriors had Steph Curry and Jimmy Butler. Steph, 31, 6, 3, 5 threes, including some absolutely insane ones late in this game. Jimmy Butler, 25 points, 7 boards, 6 assists, 10 of 19 shooting, 5 steals. That was the difference. Both teams were really struggling to score at times, very physical, great defenses, but the Warriors had the creators that were able to go ahead and knock down the tough buckets to go ahead and seal this one. That is the difference. Ultimately in the series, it's why I picked the Warriors to win. I do still think it's going to be a lengthy series. I did not give up on the Rockets after this game, but they need so much better from Jalen Green. Hopefully he bounces back the way that we see from Jalen Green sometimes, where he goes out there and has one of the worst games you've ever seen, and the next game he's dropping a 30-piece. They're going to need that. They need a lot more. They need somebody to help Alperen Şengün. We'll see who steps up, but it's got to be somebody, or else this will be a quick series. And the final West game one was Thunder Grizzlies. I won't talk about this too long, even as a Thunder fan. Massacre, 51-point win for the Thunder. It's the biggest game one win in NBA playoff history. Just a complete mismatch. You can see the gap between these two teams out there. Thunder just a lot more talented, a lot better on both sides of the ball. They executed almost flawlessly. Grizzlies do not have the defenders to stay in front of the Thunder. It felt like OKC got literally anything they wanted the entire night. You want an iHeart push shot, you got it. You want a Dort three, you've got it. You want a J-Dub cutting to the basket shot, you got it. Shea didn't even play well. This was one of the worst games he's played all season. He went out there, and I think at his lowest point total of the entire season, he had scored 20 plus points in 72 straight games, and he would have done it in this one if he needed to play beyond the 4-minute mark of the third quarter. But the fact that he scored 15 points or so, and you still lost by 51, it's probably a sweep. It's probably a sweep. I mean, the Grizzlies are going to play better. I don't think they play this bad again, but there's just such a mismatch. The Thunder are just so much better. The Grizzlies just don't have the ball handling to handle this defense. They don't have the defenders to keep up with this high-powered offense. Yeah, the Grizzlies just never stood a chance. Getting to the East now, let's first talk Pacers versus Bucks. You want to talk about mismatches. The role player mismatch in this one is all time. I tweeted that out because Giannis was insane. 36 points, 12 rebounds. You got what you need from Giannis going up against the Pacers. You can't ask for much more. This is what he does against Indiana, but they've just got nobody to help him. And part of that is Dame not playing. He's going to be back hopefully for game 2, and that will give them a bit of a boost, but it's still not going to matter if Kyle Kuzma is putting up 0 stats. Literally not a stat recorded in 21 minutes. That is the most playoff minutes played ever by a starter to not go ahead and put up a single stat. And I said this at the deadline, but I cannot believe their big deadline addition was Kyle Kuzma trading away a legend for your franchise in Chris Middleton, who, by the way, last year against the same Pacers team had an unbelievable series. I said it then, I'll say it again now. I would have just taken the chance that Chris Middleton could have gotten healthy and produced for you, because Kyle Kuzma is not providing anything. He even had 2 free throw attempts to get points on the board. He couldn't go ahead and make that happen. You also trade away AJ Johnson, which is a whole other story. Brook Lopez was getting fried out there. He's just way too slow-footed for this very dynamic and quick Pacers team. Bobby Portis shot poorly. Ryan Rollins couldn't hit anything. KPJ, who's been big for you, struggled immensely. And then you take a look at Indiana. You got a big game from one of their front court guys in Siakam, who had 25 and 7. Halliburton ripped apart this Bucks defense with his playmaking. Wasn't a big scoring night, but it felt like he made the right decision every single time with the ball in his hands. And those two guys played well, but really the difference maker was 17 from Andrew Nembhard in great defense, 19 from Miles Turner, 11 from TJ McConnell, 13 from Benedict Mathurin, who was really locking up on D. I like the way he was defending in this game. Indiana is just so much more talented. They're so much more well-rounded. It is just a clear mismatch. The only hope that the Bucks ever had coming into the series, and still do have, is that Giannis and Dame can go out there and put up insane offensive explosions, and they could do enough to just slow Indiana a bit and hope that at least 1 or 2 role players has a big game, and that's a recipe for success. It's not one that I think is reliable at all. It's why I picked the Pacers to win this series, but they could get a game or 2 out of it. It just made me feel like the Bucks really just don't stand a chance in this series. I thought they had a shot, but unless Dame comes back and looks very much like Dame, which I'm not counting on with him not playing in a little while, I just don't know how the Bucks overcome this wide talent gap, especially with the depth. Next, let's talk about Knicks versus Pistons, and this was a moment of inexperience. That is the question coming into the playoffs. Was Detroit has a lot of talent, but it's their first time here going up against the Knicks, who have a wealth of experience, and in the fourth quarter is where it really popped up, because for the first 3 quarters, the Pistons were outplaying the Knicks. They had a lead. You were getting great play from the veterans like Tobias Harris, who finished with 25 on the night, one of the best playoff games I've seen from Tobias in a while. Tim Hardaway Jr. was playing well. Malik Beasley had 6 threes. Dennis Schroeder gave them some solid minutes. Cade Cunningham was not playing well. He didn't play well the entirety of the game, only finished with 21 points on 21 shots, 6 turnovers, and that was in large part due to OG Anunoby being the all-world defender he is. He just had Cade on absolute clamps, but even so, you were leading, and then in the fourth quarter, they just kind of forgot how to play basketball. They gave up a 21-0 run run to New York. Cat got basically everything he wanted the entire night. Jalen Brunson was huge for them down the stretch. He was the one who took them home, led to the double-digit win. The Knicks are the better team. The Pistons are going to have to go ahead and muck things up. They've got to create problems. They're going to have to find a way to get Cade easier looks. He can't be trying to just score an OG Anunoby over and over again. There's no way he's going to be reliably successful doing that for an entire series. I still think they're going to be competitive in this one. They're going to bounce back. They're going to win a couple of games. But the Knicks did go ahead and show why they are the favorite in this series, why they are the team that I still believe is going to ultimately advance, because they've just got that extra gear that the Pistons don't quite have yet. And shout out to Cameron Payne in this game, because the Pistons have the depth advantage. At least most people will tell you that. But like, Cam Payne comes into this game, hits multiple momentum shots, and credit to Tom Thibodeau, he stuck with Cam Payne, because usually Tibbs is someone who's like, yeah, I've got my guys. I'm just going to run the same five out there. But McHale only played 28 minutes because Cameron Payne was playing better. He was the guy that gave them the best chance to run away with this, and it's exactly what happened. So a little bit of a character growth moment for Tibbs, which is cool to see. One big blow to the Pistons is Isaiah Stewart. He was making a real impact out there despite being clearly hobbled on one leg. He left in the fourth quarter, just wasn't able to continue to play on that leg injury. Knee inflammation apparently has him questionable for game 2. They need Isaiah Stewart. They need somebody with that physicality, with that ability to just go ahead and get in the opponent's head, someone to be a bit of an enforcer if they want to stand a chance against the Knicks. If Isaiah Stewart is not himself for this series, I think it's really hard for Detroit to compete. And the final two games were Celtics, Magic, Cavs, Heat. I won't spend too long on these because it was kind of what you expected. For the Magic, credit to Paolo and Franz. They played really well. Paolo 36, 11, and 4, 23, 3, 5, 1, and 2 for Franz. I just hope someday they get more help. And like, Jalen Suggs and Mo Wagner are hurt, but even still, the Magic supporting cast is just not good enough around those two star guys to help you compete against the Celtics team that is just loaded with talent. Like, Jason Tatum shot 8 of 22, only 6 of 14 from Jaylen Brown, and you still got destroyed. Like, Derek White deep fried them. Drew Holiday hit 3 threes. Peyton Pritchard had 19 points. Porzingis also really did not play well. It's just this massive talent gap. They played good defense, but the offense just doesn't exist for Orlando, so that's why this is going to be a 4 or 5 game series. I picked 5, but after Paolo and Franz played this well and they still kind of got blown out, I'm starting to think a 4 game series is a lot more likely. And then the Cavs and Heat game, same thing, just a huge talent gap. Bam played solid, 24-9, 3-2-1. Hero had 21 points, albeit not the most efficient at all. Like, the defense for the Cavs just kind of stifled the Heat, and they do not have a dynamic enough offense to compete against Cleveland. Shout out to, like, Davion Mitchell, continues to be awesome, 18 points, 9 dimes, and 8 of 12 shooting. They need to do whatever they can to retain him, because he's the exact type of Heat player you want, and I think he can be really good in this system. Like, they fought, they kept it somewhat within striking distance, but in the end, they just don't have nearly enough, especially when, like, Ty Jerome's giving you 28 points off the bench. And we talk about the Cavs, how good they are, and the depth, and why they could go ahead and win it all, at least in my opinion. I know some people are still doubters for some reason, but it's like the fact that you can have a guy like Ty Jerome come and drop 28 points off the bench, and I'm not even that shocked. It's crazy to have that much depth. Like, 27 from Darius Garland, 30 points from Donovan Mitchell, great defense from Mobley and Allen, who both just had all-around good games. This is a juggernaut of a squad. They showed exactly why. I do want to give, again, the Heat credit because they stayed relatively in this one. They didn't get annihilated from moment one, and I do like the general supporting cast they have built out. If they could find a way to trade or just, like, somehow implement a star from the outside into the supporting cast they have right now, they could be a really competitive squad, but obviously that's not the case, and the Cavs are just vastly better. This is also one where I predict Cavs in 5. After this game, I'm thinking more Cavs in 4. With all that being said, those are my overreactions, my takeaways from every game 1. Let me know down below in the comments, what are your thoughts on your team's first playoff performance, or just in general about any of these series? Which team do you think has the best chance of coming back from down 0-1? Are you still feeling good about your predictions? Is there anything you've waned on a little bit? I want to hear all your thoughts from this opening weekend of the playoffs. As usual, leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on future videos. I appreciate you watching. I'll see y'all later. Real one, say it back.